We are born alone and we die alone. I know that sounds familiar and it seems pessimistic, but in my eyes it is realistic. Because nobody knows you as well as you do. And at the end of the day, everybody wants something from you in this life. And everything is a sort of pact. If you are in a relationship, you accept something and you give something in return from the other person. Be it emotional attachment, sex, attention, so on and so forth. So, unless we are talking about our relatives, close relatives, and not all of them. Basically, we are just doing our best to coexist. And so, I think the most precious quality that you can develop in this life is to be self-sufficient. And I know that's something pretty popular these days, and it's kind of trivialized in some way and idealized. However, it's true. It doesn't mean that I am advocating for total isolation and cutting all the contact with humans, but you have to learn how to be comfortable with yourself, because whenever we are communicating, we are primarily using our words, which are limited, and they are only a reflection of the actual emotion. And that's true especially when we are talking about our emotions and our beliefs, and to some extent the words actually represent a catalyzer to our feelings and how we view the world, and how especially we are supposed to feel about things, and the attitude towards everything, because we are like an operational system, and our brain thrives on conditionings. And I'm not saying that all of them are bad, but they can get outdated, because we are evolving so fast from a technological point of view that our psyche cannot keep up with it. And that especially holds true in our day and age. And in this sense, we have to value ourselves first and foremost, and especially friendship, which I think is more important than love, because when you are interacting with your partner, and it doesn't matter the gender and so on and so forth, you are always to some extent compelled by your sexual desires. And so sometimes you might put up with someone whom you don't like, but from whom you are perfectly aware that you receive something, especially sex, and you kind of tolerate them. And that goes both ways. I'm not saying that all relationships between the sexes that feel attracted to each other, because I'm not gonna say opposite sex, because I'm not excluding the gay love, which is something as old as all types of human connection. However, when you are forced by some visceral tendencies, the spiritual aspect of your relationship can be questioned. And I am not saying that all relationships are like that. Perhaps true love, which is very rare, is a combination of sexual attraction and camaraderie. However, a lot of times when the so-called amorous entanglement, wink, wink, entanglement, and we are left with a lot of resentment, and it's very difficult to remain friends after that. I'm not saying that there are no exceptions, but a lot of times that's how it is. I don't know a better way to do this. We haven't come up with something better. Perhaps that's part of our human nature. However, when you have a friend, it's more valuable. And you know how they say that if a friendship lasts more than 10 years, it is very likely to last during a whole life. And that's true, especially if you are an introvert like me. And I must confess, although I think that you've guessed it already if you've watched some other of my videos, that I'm not someone who is fond of a lot of people, although I have become very sociable now as opposed to my teenage years when I kind of hated everybody. But I guess that was part of the growing up process. And so I don't form bonds with a lot of people, although it doesn't mean that I don't communicate and that I'm not open. And I have a close circle of friends whom I mostly trust, but without whom I could survive. And I'm pretty sure that I'll remain in the same relationship with them until one of us dies. It doesn't matter who's gonna be first, me or someone among them. And that being said, the best friend that you can have is yourself. But in order to do that, you need to accept your pain and flaws, because otherwise you are going to suffer a lot. I'm not saying that's easy, but that's how it is. Part of being yourself and remaining present is to kind of learn how to dwell in suffering without the intention to prolong it, and without fueling your ego out of that pain, because you know how that goes. Our ailments can make us feel special, and there are people who enjoy suffering. But that's another story. We are, at the end of the day, a little bit masochistic, all of us, and you have to be in order to accept the difficulties of life, which is part of accepting that you are a small speck of atoms or vibration, if you wanted to call it that way, thrown in this cold and immense universe, to which all of our worries and ambitions seem irrelevant. And when you accept who you are kind of coming at peace with everything what's around you. And that's why the importance of loneliness is so stressed. It doesn't mean that you must avoid people at all cost, and they can be fun, but if you don't have the ability to keep company to yourself, then people are going to irritate you, as absurd as that sounds. And that's how it is. We are born alone and we die alone, because ultimately nobody understands you perfectly, not even your mom and your partner, if you have one. If you don't, then you have to handle it. And not even you can fathom totally who you are, because we are constantly rediscovering facets of ourselves, and at the same time, based on language, we are creating them. So yeah, just be aware of that. And if you have friends or if you are in love, that's good. If you don't, just relax, and I'll see you on the next one.